Greetings, gastronomes. I'm back home again after 3 weeks up on the Murray, which was very relaxing, I must say. It was good, apart from things that went wrong, like my fridge door broke. What a disgusting design. Some idiot modern engineer decided that fridge doors don't need to contain a framework of steel or aluminium. Just plastic's fine. No, it isn't. So of course eventually the hinge just pulls out of the door. There's nothing there to stop it. Idiocy. Dometic. Whoever designed your fridge door, Dometic, you should be in jail. Ridiculous. What an idiot. You always make some sort of framework where it's oven door, fridge door, there's got to be a metal framework. Otherwise it's just not going to have any strength, is it? It's just going to pull out. As soon as there's any load on it, pull out, which is what happened. Anyway, won't go on about that. It was hot up there on the Murray for 3 days of 37, and then there was a couple of days of 36, and then the rain came. Oh my God, nearly got bogged. Anyway, I'm back here fixing up things that went wrong, but I'm going to make something. So what am I going to make? Today I'm going to make donuts, homemade donuts. Now when I was a little kid in primary school, probably about 8 or something, I was at the school fete, and they had the parents had a donut stall. Someone was running a donut stall. I'd never had cinnamon donuts before in my life. These were hot, fresh cinnamon donuts. My God, I could not get enough of them. I just kept going back and back and buying more and more. They were so good. And I thought, I always vowed from that moment on, I've got to make these myself. And I never did until this year. So I started making them this year. So I'm going to make some now. I'm going to make cinnamon ones, and I'm also going to make some iced ones. But the first thing we've got to do is to make the dough. So I just need to melt some butter. Might get a knife, butter knife. So we want 50 grams of butter. Got to be melted butter to make the dough, of course. $50 grams of butter. I'll just melt that, and you've got to warm up the milk. You make it with milk instead of water. You know, it's a filling, rich thing, really, donuts. A great way to get fat. Don't eat too many. What do we want? So I'm just going to let that melt. I'm going to put in half a cup of milk and get cracking on the dough. Cracking on the dough. Donuts. Man, there's so many kinds of donuts. They're such a big thing these days. Well, I have been for many decades, I guess. But when I was a little kid in Australia, donuts weren't that common. I thought they are now. I mean, I guess it's different in America. Donuts have been huge for maybe 100 years. But when I was a kid in the 60s, not so much. Just didn't see them. I remember when I was a little kid, even younger I think, my first experience with a donut, went to Canberra, and there were these strawberry iced donuts, and you know, they were incredible. Well, because I was so small, I would have been like 4, this is an early memory. Those donuts seemed enormous, you know, I thought they were like this. That big, huge. And then when I was in Germany in 2013 at a festival, and someone was cooking up donuts, and they were huge, and they were like that. They were bloody huge, and they were strawberry. So it came true. That vision came true. And then, about 10 years ago, I was on the Murray at Morgan, and it's changed now, but the bakery there, which I think is Mars's Bakery, or was Mars's Bakery, they had donuts, and I bought a donut. It was huge. Maybe not as big as the German one, but it would have been like that. Easy. Big donut. Too big, quite frankly. Too big, quite frankly. Right, that's melted butter. Now we've got half a cup of milk. So the milk, it's a bit coolish, and of course cold is the enemy of yeast. So the hope is that this hot pan will warm up the milk without me having to actually put it on the stove. I'll just... It's not hot, but that's probably alright. That'll be alright. So, let's put some yeast in. A couple of teaspoons of yeast. Put some sugar in, because donuts have got to be sweet. If you want to make savoury donuts, go for your life. But if you ask me, they're not donuts. They've got to be sweet. So, you've got to have sugar in the dough, and you've also got to have sugar around them. It's all about the sugar, but not to the extent of fucking Krispy Kremes. God, I hate Krispy Kremes. What a load of garbage that is. That's how to ruin a great thing. The American idea that you can't have too much sugar. Well, we'll make the dough with lots of sugar, and then we'll marinate it in sugar syrup, and then we'll ice it. And then maybe, just in case you didn't get enough sugar the first 2 times, we'll ice it again. Really? You really think that's good? Who the hell thinks that's good? I tell you who doesn't. Me. I think it's disgusting. The most revolting donuts I've ever eaten. Bar none. The most revolting. Ridiculous. Anyway, I've got to do some yolks. Now I made this with not many yolks the first time, but in fact I thought I would try this with just 1 egg, the white and the yolk, but in fact I think you do need the yolks. It's a bit of an art to getting the ultimate test of a donut is the dough, not the icing sugar. Anyone can ice the shit out of something. Question is, oh my god. Question is the dough any good? Same as bread. Is the dough any good? Or, the ultimate test of a pizza, is the dough any good? It's not really about what you top it with. It is. It does matter. What you top it with does matter, but if the dough's no good, your pizza's no good. And the same goes for donuts. The dough's got to be good. So, a couple of yolks. Oh, I don't know. Getting old and clumsy. Old and clumsy. No good. Anybody who's thinking of getting old, don't recommend it. Do not recommend it. Alright. Stir that around a bit. Lost my spoon. Incredible stupidity, just hopeless. And what have we got? Sugar, yeast, salt, flour, milk, butter, egg yolks. Alright, so I want a cup and a half. I want a cup and a half of flour. Now I've just gone and wet my half cup, so what I'm going to do is I'll get the 3/4 and use that. So 2 3/4 makes 1 1/2. Ta-da! Alright. 1 1/2 cups of flour. Now we want a couple of pinches of salt. 1, 2. There's varying schools on the salt. Personally, I think you do need some salt in a donut or a cake, you know. But a lot of people don't, so whatever. Different strokes for different folks. Right, mix in. Mix in the butter mixture and extract, if we can, extract the errant teaspoon. Do you think that'd make a good boy's name? Errant. We sent him to school, but he was an errant student. Alright, this is donut batter. It makes quite a sloppy. It's quite sloppy. But it's alright. It's not too bad. But definitely a bit sloppier than typical bread dough. A little bit sloppier than bread dough. But it'll all come together, you'll see. That's fine. It'll be fine. Let's have a look. Turn on the errant photography device. Yeah, it's firming up actually quite well. Quite well. So, see if we can knead it. See if we can knead it. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. It's very sloppy. Might have to get some flour on the board. Some flour on the board. It's going to be very floppy. Oh God. And sticky. It's sticky as all get out. The flour on the board. Yeah. I don't know about this. Maybe I should just leave it for a little while. I probably should just leave it for a little while. Maybe put a little bit more flour in it. Put a bit more flour in it. I've only made this once before, so I'm not 100% certain on every aspect of it. They did work out well, so I felt it was okay to... Thought it'd be alright to make a vid. There goes some donut. Cut it out, you pest. Behave. Try and behave. It's high hydration doughs. I watch people on YouTube how they do it. It's an interesting business. Surface tension and one side you can fiddle with and the other side you can't. Interesting. And they stretch one side over and you avoid avoid taking the inside. Don't touch the inside is what I learnt from watching those vids. Oh, how sticky, God. Anyway, it's starting to come together now. It's starting to behave like a dough should, so that's alright. All good. We'll just stretch it out. It's a bit cool actually. I might have to warm it up a bit. Otherwise it'll take forever to prove. Yeah, you can see it's starting to behave more like a normal dough, although it's made a liar out of it just then. Making a liar out of me. More flour. More flour. See if we can get the other stuff to stick to it. I'm going to leave it in the bottom of this anyway. And we do want to try to denature the dough if we can. The joys of baking. The joys of high hydration doughs. They are a pest. They're a pest. You just think you're getting them and no, you don't. You have to get that groovy little plastic thing they use. Little plastic slice. Gotta find one of those somewhere. And you can walk your dough around with it. Whatever. Alright, so this dough needs to warm up, needs to prove, and it needs to toughen up. So I'll be back. I'm going to give it, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes. I'll be back when it's better behaved. Alright, it's been, I don't know, I wasn't even counting, probably about an hour, and the dough has doubled, at least doubled in size. I'll just give you a look at how big it's got. Now I kept this dough in there with the cling film on floating in a bain-marie, so keeping it nice and warm, which is what you want, but not too hot. So this is what it looks like at the moment. So I'm going to be knocking it down in a sec. So let's knock it down. Pull it out of the its bowl and knock it back. I want some flour. Some flour. It's still quite high hydration, but it's not as bad as it was, right? So there's still, and it's built up some structure. And we can just, yeah, it feels quite nice actually. It's got quite a bit of air in it. So just going to roll this out nice and even. Nice and even, so we're looking for about a centimetre thick. About a centimetre thick. It's about that. Of course they do puff up nicely when they're in the hot fat. When the hot fat. Okay, so I've got some cutters here. I've got this one, which is a classic donut cutter. Great for cinnamon donuts when you want not too big a donut with the hole already in it. For the iced donuts, obviously want something a bit bigger, so I'm going to use this. I won't be doing as many of those, so I'll do the I suppose I should do the big one first, eh? Cut the big one first. Come on. God, being difficult. You wouldn't have thought it'd be that hard to make your donut cutter sharp. It didn't want to go through. Did not want to go through, did it? And we use another one to make the ring, the hole. Right. Well, that worked a bit better. Anyway, so there's one big one. I don't know how many of these big ones I'm going to do. That was a bit better. Probably about 3. There is a major problem with making donuts, by the way, which I'll tell you about. There's a major problem with donuts, especially if you are like me and living alone, or maybe if you're just living with one other person. You end up making a lot of donuts, and then the problem is you have to eat them. And you either eat them or you waste them, you see. And you don't want to waste them, so you eat them, which is going to make you fat if you eat 16 donuts in 2 days, or maybe more. You know, you could be eating in excess of 20 donuts. I mean, it's going to be crazy. Anyway, that's enough for the big ones. When I look at them, you know, I think, oh, I should have made the hole smaller, the central hole smaller. But you know, they will puff up. Anyway, I'll show you what we do with these. So we'll get some of these, the pre-holed ones. Again, sometimes you get, they just won't pull off. Where the joint is in the mould, in the cookie cutter, they just don't want to do it, you know. So then you just put all the dough back together again and you roll it out again. Didn't really want to squash it back this much, but anyway, you get what you get. Should still be right. Famous last words. It's a shame to waste that air, but that's what you get. Alright. Roll it out. Don't want to get too worried about them because, you know, when you put them in the hot fat, they just do their thing, and they'll still come out tasting really good. Take a few of these. Pull the hole out. Ta-da! So these are great. Definitely they're a good thing. if you can find one. Highly recommend them. They do speed up the process somewhat. I remember the classic ones I was eating that got me hooked on donuts back in primary school. The batter was really liquidy. I remember watching the guy do it. The batter was quite liquidy and he got it out of a pack, pre-made batter. So I don't know why it works, but it's quite liquidy, and you had you pulled the thing and out came a donut straight into the hot fat, which is obviously different to what I'm doing here. But yeah, the batter was quite liquidy, and so it gave a really soft, really beautiful soft dough, you know. Probably a bit softer than this one will be. Weird. Anyway, that's not how I'm doing it. I'm doing it the homemade way. I remember he had a big sack of, big bag of pre-made, pre-mixed donut mix. I think just add water or milk or whatever the hell he added, I don't know, but worked alright. Got me in, got me hooked. Alright, a couple more of these. One of these. Do it again, we'll get a few more. So how many have we got here? We've got 3 big ones and 5, 7 small ones. So there's obviously going to be at least 8 small ones, or probably 8.5, 9, something like that. I'd like to make a jam donut. I mean, you know, think of the donuts you can get, and jam donuts are great, you know, just a ball of dough with jam in the middle. Fantastic. But you need a jam injector to inject the jam into it, which I don't have. So give it a miss for the moment. Maybe at some later point in my life I might do that. I might make might get a jam injector and make jam donuts. Maybe some point in the future. Now, it's not big enough. It should be enough for one more. What about if I poke my finger through? If I poke my finger through, I can just make a rough made, homemade, no cookie cutter donut like that. Which looks a bit dodgy, but I reckon, you know, once it's cooked, it'll still be fine. It'll still be fine. Right. So I'm just going to leave them there to rest for a few minutes, and then I will come back when I've got the fat hot. I'll get the fat hot, and I'll be back, and I'll show you what it's like to cook them. Right, they're the little ones, so we've got 9 little ones and 3 big ones. It certainly does look like I should have made the holes smaller in the big ones, but you never know. Wait till we see what happens, how they come out, and then we'll make a judgment. I'll be back. Alright, the fat is now at 180 degrees Celsius, which is what I want. So let's put some donuts in the hot fat. I'll probably do about 4 at a time. And whoops, need something to fish them out. I'm just going to use a skewer. great things, these digital thermometers. Highly recommend you get one. If you haven't got one, get one. They are fantastic. So 180 degrees. Let's have a look at them cooking in the hot fat. There you go, you can see them just gently cooking away there. They've already puffed up a lot. It's a bit like the miracle of pizza, you know, when pizza puffs up. It's amazing. Anyway, there they are. So we'll just turn them over. They cook very quickly, so as soon as they're nice and golden brown, turn them over. Beautiful. And I've just made up some cinnamon sugar here. Got about half a cup, maybe a little bit less, and of caster sugar and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Fantastic. You know, if you don't like that smell, there must be something wrong with you. I remember when I was a kid, sometimes we used to put cinnamon sugar on toast and just put butter on it, cinnamon sugar on top, under the toaster. Magnificent. Great. Really good. Just a classic, you know, cinnamon sugar. A little bit longer. Just a bit longer. Donuts coming. Going to be ready in a jiff. You know, if you love donuts, you'll be looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't had proper lunch, so I'm gonna squeeze in some donuts. Probably going to be having more than I should. Probably. That's donuts for you. What's that like? Done. Look at that. Beautiful. So whack it in there, cover it in the sugar and the cinnamon. Beautiful. Same with the rest. Bring it out. Probably I should maybe put them on paper towel or something. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to try doing a big one. There's a big one, and I'll put a small one in. I'll put my mongrel one in here. Right, how are we going to do this? You guys come over here. I just cover it. Lots of cinnamon and sugar. I mean, really, half a cup is too much. Too much sugar. You don't need to put too much cinnamon in, by the way. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon is enough. It's definitely enough. Alright. Cinnamon donuts. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Very cool. So, sure you know what donuts look like, but let's just have a look at these ones just to make sure they are the real deal. Right? The real deal. Look at that dough. See all the air holes in the dough? Nice and light and fluffy. Nice and light and fluffy. Oh, puffing up there. Puffing up quite a bit. Let's go. Oh, the big one has inflated. Certainly has inflated. donuts, you know. They are what you think they are. Very good. You know, they're light. Oh. I'm going to ice the big ones, so I'm going to put them on a separate plate. I don't want the cinnamon on them. A bit more. A little bit more. Gives me time to eat another donut. They're hot. You know, best way to eat a donut, hot. Well, certainly a cinnamon donut, got to be hot. And as soon as you bite into it, you get the aroma of the cinnamon and the sugar and the lovely sweet yielding texture of the donut, you know, and that milky, eggy, soft dough, you know, lovely soft dough of a donut. Right, another 4 in there. Might turn up the heat a smidge. Don't burn your fingers on the fat, Mr. Mars. It would not be good. Let's not do that. Right. See, this was the mongrel one I did. It's the mongrel one I did without that wouldn't fit into the proper thing, and it's, you know, it's great. I'll just prove it by eating it. Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah, hot donuts. Wow. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You know what hot cinnamon donuts are like. They're like that. They taste like hot cinnamon donuts, you know. Really good. I guess you like them or you don't. They're a bit different. They're a bit different to the ones I had that got me hooked when I was a kid. But I think that's just the romance of being a kid. You've got this romantic view of the donut, you know, which is so tasty. Also, kids' taste buds are different to adults. So, I think if I fed this to my younger self, he'd probably think, yeah, it's much the same. I think the ones that I got there, they were a bit more liquidy though. I mean, obviously they weren't liquid, but I don't know. That's my memory of them. But, you know, you can see the. Hang on, I better turn these over. Easy to make, you know. If you've made bread, you can make donuts. And it's a different recipe to a bread recipe, but you're still dealing with yeast, a yeast dough, you know. Bad. They're evil. Don't make them, people. They're evil. They will make you fat. You'll end up like Homer Simpson. Yeah, too much. I made too much sugar and cinnamon, but whatever, you know, sugar's cheap. What's another one that when I was a teenager I loved, and I still do love, you know, the donut van at concerts or markets. Someone will have a donut van and they'll be doing ball donuts. There'll be a ball of dough and with hot jam in the middle and covered in cinnamon and sugar. Fantastic. I still love them. I used to get 5 for $1, I think, or 5 for $1.20 back when I was a teenager. Back when I was a teenager and used to hang out in the days when they used to have concerts in Melbourne at the My Music Bowl. And people who are too cheap-arsed or too poor to pay to go inside used to hang out on the grass outside. I did that for a heap of concerts in the late 70s and early 80s, heaps of them. And Paul McCartney and Wings, I heard them, didn't really see them because you're on the grass outside the fence, didn't really see them, but I heard them. Rick Wakeman came out on his, when he did his King Arthur tour. They had some big trees. Actually, I did see a little bit of Rick Wakeman because I climbed a tree. I wasn't the only person climbing a tree, by the way. It was a bit of a sought after position up in the trees. Everyone wanted to be up there. God, so a Status Quo, man, what a concert. Thin Lizzy, I shouldn't say saw, I didn't see them at all. I think it was the Thin Lizzy concert, the crowd broke the fence down and right at the end. Wow, amazing. I remember the John Denver concert. And I remember buying donuts at that concert from Donut Van. It was outside, catering to large numbers of people that were outside the concert. It was great, you know, it was a social thing. You bring a blanket, lie on the ground, drink some beers, eat some donuts, listen to the great music. It's really good. Yeah, those days are gone. Those days are gone. But they used to exist back when I was a teenager. There were such things in those days. Alright. There they are. Well, that's it for the cinnamon. And sugar donuts. They're good. Don't worry about that. So what I'm going to do is cook that, and then I'll come back when I've made up my icing, and I'll ice them, and we'll see what they're like. Back in a jiff. Alright, I've cleaned up the cinnamon and sugar, and we're going to move on to the icing. So, I'm going to make some chocolate icing. I mean, if I was going to be ideal, I should have made, you know, strawberry icing and pineapple icing and chocolate icing and done one on each donut. But that sounds like a lot of extra work for a little reward. So I'm just going to make the chocolate icing and be done with it. But yeah, a good strawberry iced donut is really good, or a pineapple, or whatever colour you like. Just making butter icing here because I usually make butter icing. So I just melt the butter in the pan, and we need about 3/4 of a cup of icing sugar. And it's not like icing a cake, we're just going to ice these 3 donuts, it's not that much. But I'm sure I'll still have too much icing, but anyway, it won't be a problem. I'll just throw it out if I've got too much. I won't be tempted to eat it, because I know what the result of eating icing will be. BBS, burgeoning belly syndrome. Where did you come from? Right, over there. All good. Alright, go, 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 go. Now you want about 1 heaped dessert spoon of cocoa. Now chuck in the icing sugar. That's all good. Then we get a little bit of hot water, but not too much, because if you've ever made butter icing, you will know that it is very easy to get a sloppy mess that you don't want. Very, very easy to put a little bit too much water in, and then you'll get runny icing that you can't use. So really, I just put in 1 tablespoon of hot water for 3/4 of a cup of icing sugar, and I think that's going to be enough. And you just stir it around until it's nice and smooth. Yeah, you don't want to put too much in. Not too much water or you'll wreck it totally. Then it'll be no good for anyone. No good to anyone, in fact. Incorrect preposition. Let's have a look at that icing sugar, icing. Let's have a look. It's getting a skin on it very rapidly. I mean, I'm tempted to put just a drop more water in it. I'm going to regret this, just a drop. Just a tiny amount. Alright, so there's a donut, which is, in hindsight, I should have definitely made the inner hole smaller, but, you know, what can you do? Hindsight is a wonderful thing. It doesn't help you after the fact. But I'm sure it will taste good, which is ultimately the only thing that matters, right? That's 1 done. Let's do this one. I'll just heat it up a bit more, which will make it more runny and make it go over easier. Don't need that. Let's be a bit more runny. You know, butter icing is all about the temperature of the butter. Like lots of things, you know, depends on the butter. Like shortbread, depends on the temperature of the butter. Like pastry, depends on the temperature of the butter. Temperature of the butter is everything. Right, how are we looking? Glossy, wants to be glossy. Glossy and a little bit, just runny enough Just runny enough to do the job, you know. That's what you want. So we just put it on. Or whatever. Whatever. And then the last bit. Let's warm it up again for the last bit. Chocolate icing. Oh, too hot, no good. Ah. Damn it, got too hot, burnt it a bit. Oh well. Caramelised chocolate icing, beautiful. I'm sure I didn't burn it too badly, but just started to catch. Dat zal genoeg zijn. Let's have a look at them. Let's turn off the heat. Let's go. Chocolate iced donuts. So, what are they like? I'll tell you what, the chocolate butter icing gives an extra buttery warmth that you don't get from your supermarket chocolate donuts that don't have the butter in them. It's really good. So you get the typical donut, but that butter icing, wow, it's chocolatey. It's more chocolatey than the stuff you get from the supermarket, and it's buttery. And you know, buttery chocolate's a good thing. So I definitely recommend, if you're making these at home, I definitely recommend the chocolate butter icing, because it really is an improvement. There you go. Homemade donuts in the kitchens of Mr. Mars. Good. Obviously I should have made the iced donuts a bit fatter, which I could easily have done by using a smaller ring in the middle. I'll know next time. But they're still good. They're still good. Tastes good. And they, I think they compare well to the supermarket ones. The icing's better. The supermarket ones are kind of softer in the middle. They probably put something in there, I would say. Some kind of chemical they put in to make them soft, make the dough soft, extra soft. I don't know what it would be. Something. But these are really good, you know. They do taste like donuts. They look, they feel, they crunch like donuts. Mix them up with cinnamon and sugar. It's exactly like you buy anywhere that sells you hot donuts. So really good. Highly recommend. If you want to, if you've got a kids party or something and you know how to cook donuts. Easy to make, honestly, easy and quite forgiving. Quite forgiving. Once they're in the hot fat, as long as you don't overcook them, very hard to go wrong. Alright, see you next time people. Happy days.